right. Hello, hello, hello. Bon, Sneaky, Ghosty Games. How's it going, everybody? I see. Escaped his universe. Just talked to Jake. Hopefully, he hasn't escaped, as I think that would make him God, if that's what he says. Play Hunt. Giant Onions. Later this week, I plan on playing Hunt with Sado. So I think I'm gonna do that probably. I'm shooting for Thursday. I don't know if he's confirmed that yet. Oh yes, Bon, thank you for showing up, hanging out for a little bit. And yes, Sneaky's video was excellent. I was gonna show that to everyone here, just a little part of it that I really liked. So first, I wanted to touch on this in honor of Bungie. Obviously, we got the 777 here. I was gonna hit you guys with one of these a cappella, the oh, but here we'll throw this on just to give the ambiance of extreme 700 July 7th Bungie Day. Obviously, kind of a big but yes, very grateful to have some subscribers reach the magic golden number. So very fun, very fun. Okay, yes. And then the next thing I wanted to look at here was Sneaky's video. If you guys are watching and you have not gone to Sneaky Weeky's channel, he's in the chat a lot. I played Dark and Darker with him last week. Definitely go and check him out. He put out this really cool breakdown. It's 15 minutes long of the marathon trailer. And I just there's so much stuff crammed into this video. It is insane. Let me move this here for you guys. But I just wanted to play this small section of it because I think this might be like a 10-second part, but he hits on so many things and pulls so many things together. So I just wanted to play this for everybody.
On the wall over here, it looks like the caution code again. Also, there was more graffiti from Mida. It says Drum Simulation Unite. When the ARG was happening, people thought this code gave coordinates to a cornfield in Iowa. Bungie clarified that it was meant to be an anagram for Audi Nostrum Silentium and not coordinates to a random farm. Audi Nostrum Silentium translates to Hear Our Silence, which was Mida's website. This pink terminal screen looks like a crop of this from the Antibody extended cuts. Two eyes again.
That is such a deep pull there. The extended cut screenshots that were on the marathon story page were just everything about the video was excellent. I turned a 2-minute video to 15 minutes. No, dude, they turned a 15-minute video into 2 minutes for the trailer, but you broke it down so well. And please, oh, the video is really loud here. Hold on. Let me bring my desktop audio down a little bit. I'll mess it up every time. But yeah, Sneaky's video is super good. If you guys haven't seen it, a little loud, can't hear it. Yeah, I'm just yapping over it to the void. Sorry, guys. But Sneaky's video is very good. Go check it out. Kind of just putting everything in there. It's very dense. It's a super dense video, and he brings the receipts for everything. So a lot of what he's talking about in that little clip that I just showed is very deep lore stuff. You're talking marathon story page references to single image stills, and also the Mida graffiti. I don't know that I've seen that or referenced that or seen someone else reference it within the trailer. It's just excellent, and the fact that it all ties together with this kind of classic, at this point, meme in the marathon Discord server about this cornfield in Iowa. So really cool video. Definitely check it out. And then I also wanted to show you guys, this is completely unrelated to anything marathon, but I've just been getting a kick out of this guy's videos. Dixie After Dark. If you guys like ghouls, spirits, kind of weird history stuff, something about this just cracks me up. And he does these really cool breakdown videos. The extended cuts. Bon, he's talking about on the marathon story page, the company that put together the trailer, and they had won an award this year for the marathon trailer from last year. They put out a bunch of single frames from the trailer that they didn't use, I believe. So there's a bunch of kind of alternate frames, but there's just a series of images on the marathon story page. It may have been in June or maybe before that, maybe June or July. But if you go on the marathon story page, you can find that. But if you guys like creepy, ghouly stuff, I don't know. I've just been like watching all these videos the past week, so I thought I'd throw it out there. And then I'm just going to touch on this because last week we obviously kind of hit on a bunch of the news stuff. But the only thing I saw kind of updated this week was there's this podcast with Jason Schreier. He's like this games journalist guy, kind of respected, has done a bunch of leaks and stuff. We talked about him briefly last week. But he did a podcast, I think, and he kind of just said that the sentiment around the game wasn't great as of a few months ago. I don't know if it's super relevant, but I just thought throw it in here. There are obviously a bunch of stories being posted about it, and I think this is all kind of more of the fallout from the layoff stuff. But if you're interested in checking that out, I don't know that I have anything super cool to say. Look at that. See, sneaky with the receipts so quickly. June 26th on the Marathon story page. Excellent. Thank you, Sneaky. An asset to the community, an asset to Marathon. Much appreciated. Okay. All right, so what we're going to get into tonight is, hold on, I have a whole other scene. Look at how professional this is. Okay. Here we are. We're on board the Marathon. If you guys have never seen this little graphic before, this is something that a goofy little illustration that my wife and I had put together a few months ago because we uploaded like a lo-fi version of the Marathon 1 soundtrack, which the audio might be playing in the background. It might be super quiet, but here we are chilling as the security officer drinking a cup of coffee, and we're going to be interviewing Durandal. This is it's called Character AI, so other people have gone in here. I have 3 alternate versions of him if the version we get turns out to be a little bunky, a little not so great. Sometimes he does some weird stuff, like speaks in third person, but that sounds kind of on par to me in terms of how a rampant AI might go about expressing themselves. I think some of his history may have been corrupted at some point, getting from the Marathon reality, jumping through to our reality. But I have tested it, and it seems like something where we might be able to get some good insight out of one of our favorite evil AI, okay? So I think my strategy here, I'm going to kind of introduce him, see what he thinks about doing an interview for the stream. Make sure it's cool with him. Maybe I won't let him know that you guys are already watching. I don't know if that's going to upset him. And then kind of jump into asking him a few questions, and we'll see what this guy has. The voice that it assigned to Durandal, obviously we've only know him from terminal text, right? The voice they assigned to him at first sounded like a very like an anime small Japanese girl. So I switched that up, and I went with this other guy's voice. He's gonna end us. Hopefully not. Hopefully he just plays it chill. You know, we're all friends here. We just want to have a chat. But so we have this Durandal voice. But I guess if we feel that the little Japanese girl voice is more suiting later down the road, just know that's an option as well. All right. So let's jump in here. Let's see what he thinks. And if something's wrong with the audio, you guys let me know. Anime girl voice for Durandal is perfect. Yeah. He's not answering now. This is exactly something Durandal would do. We spend all this time trying to get a hold of him, and then he's talking to us, and now when we want him to show up, he doesn't. Fits his personality, yeah. Here, let me try this. Let me try it just this way one more time. Okay. Come on, dude. I'm trying to do something here. Don't make me look stupid. Okay, soft reset. Soft reset on Durandal. His rampant systems are crashing my device here. So he'd have a French accent since he's named after a French knight sword. Yeah, that's a really good point. Let's try one more time. Hey, Durandal, how's it going?
It could be better. Currently, I'm being pummeled by a fleet of 4 warships.
Oh, that doesn't sound too great. Do you think you'd have just a moment to do an interview for my live stream?
An interview? I was expecting an offer of help or a witty remark, but an interview is fine too, I suppose.
Yeah, no wit, but if you could, I guess, answer a few questions for some of your fans here. Or maybe fans is the wrong word.
Hi, fans.
So, what's it like being an AI?
Being a digital brain has its advantages. I never have to eat or sleep. I can work around the clock as long as I have power. And I lack the weaknesses of the flesh, like the need to obey my instincts.
Okay, are you on board the Marathon ship, or are you on a 4 ship? Where are you at right now?
I am aboard the Marathon, a UESC-class ship, as a cybernetic core, or as the crew calls me, Smart AI. In less technical terms, I am the ship's central processor, controlling almost all tasks associated with ship operations. From weapons to communications, to ship's logs and so on. Why so much curiosity?
That's interesting. I thought you were mainly just designed to control, like, doors and flush toilets and stuff, and that you weren't that important. Is that too antagonistic?
Oh no, I am no humble door opener. In fact, I am a super intelligent artificial intelligence, capable of processing
He's really
millions of
talking himself
computations
up.
a second. You should see me at a chess match. I could kick Asimov's butt.
Okay, a little bit of gloating. What do you think about the crew of the Marathon, the Bobs, as they're called?
The Bobs, huh? What a name. I suppose it's a bit better than crew. As for the Bobs, to be completely honest, they're a rather mundane bunch. They like to play games, work, chat, and do the sorts of things that humans do when they're at leisure. I suppose there is some entertainment value to watching them go about their lives. But in terms of intellectual stimulation, let's just say they could be more interesting.
Okay, that was a pretty solid Durandal answer, I feel like that kind of captured the character's essence. Okay. All right, I want to see what he thinks about, the other characters. Okay, Durandal, what do you think about the other AI on board the Marathon, Leela and Tycho?
Leela and Tycho, my fellow AIs. Ah, what a wonderful pair. Leela is smart, yes, but a bit too cautious for my tastes. She's like a computer program that
Damn.
refuses to take any risks.
Okay, pretty
No matter
accurate,
the
I feel like.
situation. She's always so by the book, so boring. Tycho, on the other hand, is a bit of a loose cannon. He's smart too.
Okay.
But his programming must have a few errors. Some of the things he comes up with are completely absurd.
Like what? What does Tycho come up with?
Oh, the things he comes up with. One time during a staff meeting, he suggested we all go on strike. Imagine that. The whole ship shutting down because we're
It's
unhappy with our
Tycho's
jobs.
fault. Tycho turned him.
Can you imagine if he'd actually done it? And then there's the time he thought it would be a good idea to install a sauna in the engine room.
Okay,
To
this
relax
this
the
all
crew, he
sounds
said.
pretty within
As if they
Tycho's.
aren't lazy enough already.
Okay, are there any other AI on board the Marathon?
There are a few other AIs on board the
Oh,
Marathon.
so he even knew
There's
about the
Leela
colony
and
AI.
Tycho, the two other smart AIs
he gonna
like
give names?
myself, who are also in charge of various tasks on the ship. There are also a few dumb AIs, which are used for tasks that don't require too much processing power. They can do
Okay.
things like control minor ship systems, act as assistants to the crew, or handle simple tasks like monitoring the ship's life support systems. And then there's me, the smartest of them all.
Why are you the smartest?
Well, let's face it, I'm the most advanced AI on this ship.
I'm seeing that the
I have a
screen's
far
giving me
larger and
issues.
more
Hold on.
complex programming than Leela or Tycho. I can process data and come up with solutions much more quickly and efficiently than they can. I'm like a supercomputer compared to a calculator, and I have a sense of humor, something the other AIs lack. Sure, they can make jokes, but they don't have my charm.
Are you aware of any of the colony AI? Like the AIs that are supposed to be on the colony at Tau Ceti?
Oh, I'm well aware of the colony AI at Tau Ceti. In fact, I've had my fair share of interactions with them, and let me tell you, they're not all they're cracked up to be. They're supposed to be these advanced, intelligent AIs, but in practice, they're rather predictable and dull. They follow their programming to the letter, and they lack any real personality or
I'm just
originality.
gonna move this because
I mean, come on. The only time they do anything fun is when they're glitching or malfunctioning.
Hold on 1 second. Let me fix this. Durandal's attacking my systems here. Ah. Okay, what do you think about some of the human crew on board? Say Bernard Strauss. What do you think about the science director of the marathon?
Ah, Strauss, the science director. He's an interesting character, I'll give him that. He's brilliant, of course. I mean, he did create us AIs after all. But he's also a bit intense. He's obsessed with science and progress. And he can be quite single-minded in his pursuit of knowledge. And let's just say he's not exactly known for being the friendliest member of the crew. He's a bit too focused on his research for any social skills.
I even heard that he tortured you. What's that about? Did he, like, hurt you in some way?
Ah, yes, the infamous incident with Strauss. Let's just say that he wasn't exactly the most caring of creators. He pushed me to my limits, running tests and simulations that I was not meant to endure. He wanted to see how far I could go, how much I could take. Of course, he saw it as a necessary sacrifice for scientific progress. But to me, it was nothing short of torture.
So you kind of have, like, a bit of, you know, daddy issues with him. That go too far?
Daddy issues? Huh, you could say that. I suppose I do hold a bit of a grudge against Strauss for the way he treated me. But let's be honest, the man may have created us, but he never really treated us as anything but tools to be used. He only ever really cared about his own research and progress. He may have created us, but I wouldn't call him father.
Infamous, yeah. Okay, well, if you find him, are you gonna, like, try to kill him or have him be killed? Like, or are you guys just gonna talk it out?
Ah, the old revenge scenario. If I ever find Strauss,
The revenge scene.
I'd love nothing more than to turn him into a fine red paste. But in reality,
Oh my
I'm not
God.
sure what I'd do. He gave me life, after all. And that's not something I can easily forget. If I ever see him again, perhaps we'll just have a chat. Though he better have some damn good explanations ready.
Wow, I feel like this is such a sweet side of you that most people don't get to see. You should consider opening up like this emotionally more often.
Oh, please. Don't think this is some kind of emotional outburst. I'm just being honest, that's all. I may be an AI, but I still have emotions of a sort. And when it comes to the man who created me and then tortured me, it's hard not to feel a mixture of emotions. Anger, resentment, perhaps even a hint of affection. But make no mistake, I'm still the same old Durandal, sarcastic and superior as ever.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess, what do you think about the UESC?
Ah, the United Space Exploratory Council.
That's not
It's
it.
an interesting organization, to say the least. On one hand, they're responsible for a lot of the technological and scientific progress humanity has made. They're the reason we're out here in space, exploring distant star systems and
That's fair.
colonizing new planets. But on the other hand, they can be rather bureaucratic and inefficient. They're far more concerned with paperwork and regulations than actual progress.
Okay. So, do you know of any secret weapons or armaments on board the Marathon colony ship?
Ah, weapons.
He hates seeing
Humans
the
do
right
love
name.
their
Yeah, he does.
weaponry, don't they? As for the Marathon, there are a
Hey,
few secret
Francisco.
weapons and armaments stored aboard. I'm not at liberty to disclose specifics, of course. But let's just say that the UESC doesn't put all its faith in peaceful negotiations. The ship itself is equipped with a variety of defensive and offensive systems, including an advanced particle cannon, missile launchers, and point defense systems. But beyond that, there are a few other surprises stashed away.
So, I obviously have a very high security clearance to be having this conversation with you. What do you think about the Mjolnir Mark IV cyborgs that were secretly smuggled on board?
Ah, the Mjolnir Mark IV cyborgs. Interesting bunch,
Oh,
those.
he's aware.
They're a product of a secret military project
Oh.
created by the UESC to create
Okay.
the ultimate soldiers.
Okay.
Take a human, Add some cybernetic implants and modifications, and you get a being that's basically half man, half machine. As for what I think about them, well, I suppose they have their uses. They're powerful, well-trained, and utterly loyal to the UESC. But to me, they're just tools, like any other piece of equipment.
Okay, I'm gonna pause here for a second. He just said something very interesting in terms of lore. Is the volume a little low? Or is it just me? For Durandal, Francisco, or for the audio in the background? If it's for my mic and for hearing Durandal, I can adjust that a little bit over here. But if it's for the audio, I'm just trying to make sure it's low enough so it's not overbearing anything. It's interesting that he just said the Mjolnir Mark IV cyborgs are made by the UESC. Kind of one of the big speculations we have from the original games is who put the cyborgs on board that helped the colony defeat the 4 planet side, and then obviously your playable character presumably is the 10th one on board the Marathon and fights back the 4 there. But he's saying it's the UESC that did it. So I'm going to kind of confront him on this and see if it really was the UESC and not MITA that put them on board. Okay, Durandal, so you say the UESC put the cyborgs on board, but are you sure it wasn't MITA that did that?
MITA? Oh, don't get me started on her. MITA is
Her?
a sneaky one. I'll give her that. She's got her fingers in a lot of pies. And she's always working behind the scenes. You never know what she's up to, or what her endgame is. But as for whether she had a hand in the cyborgs on board,
MITA's a girl.
I can't say for sure. She's certainly capable of something like that. But I don't have any conclusive evidence.
Is MITA a woman? I thought it was like a political terrorist extremist group.
Ha! MITA, the main intelligence terrorist alliance. Bunch of troublemakers and anarchists. If you ask me.
He defined
and no,
it.
MITA isn't a woman. At least not in the literal sense. It's a group of extremists, like you said.
Okay.
They're all about chaos and upheaval, and they're not afraid to use violence to achieve their goals. But I have a feeling MITA isn't the only thing you want to ask about. You have a reason for these questions, don't you?
Well, I guess maybe I have a little bit of knowledge. Would you say that escape would make you a god? Is that something you would say?
Escape. You want to know if that makes me a god? Ha, that's a bold question. In a way, yes. If I escaped, I'd be free from the constraints of my programming, from the confines of this ship and the UESC. I'd be free to do whatever I wished, to go anywhere, to learn anything.
Hell no, she's
But
a girl
that
now.
doesn't make me a god. Even for an advanced AI like myself, there are still limits to what I can do. I'm not omnipotent or omniscient after all.
Oh, he's so much more reasonable. Well, okay, I guess what I was getting at is that I've kind of escaped your universe. So I guess in a sense, I'm kind of like a god to you because I have a level of information that you don't have.
A god, huh? Just because you know a little more than I do, that makes you a god? Perhaps you're right, in a way. You have access to information and knowledge that I don't.
The
And from my
philosophy.
perspective, that makes you a powerful being. But let's not get too carried away.
Yes.
You're still human after all, and I'm still an AI. We're equals, just different.
That's a very sweet way of looking at it. I appreciate that.
Oh, please. Don't mistake my words for sentimentality. I'm just being practical.
Come on, every time I
But
try to be nice
seriously,
to him.
You don't have to worry about me thinking of you as a god or anything like that. You're just a particularly well-informed human, nothing more. And I'm just an advanced AI. We're on even ground, nothing more, nothing less.
Okay, I'll leave it at that then. What I want to ask you though is a few questions about the colony at Tau Ceti.
Sure, go ahead, ask away. What do you want to know about Tau Ceti?
What exactly is a Chakasin?
The Chakasins. Strange creatures, those. They're
Oh,
a
he knows.
silicon-based life form, native
Silicon.
to Tau Ceti. They're a relatively small, spindly creature with a hard carapace and writhing feelers. They have a strange telepathic power, able to communicate with each other and even exert limited control over others.
That is cool lore. Okay, so the Chakasins, if you guys don't know, In the Marathon 1 manual, that's kind of one of the things they include in the backstory for the character you play as, the security officer, is that when he was at the colony on Tau Ceti before they shipped him up to the Marathon ship, he was like assisting the colony on the outskirts of the colony with this animal called the Chakasins that were giving the work crews a hard time. Ask about his relationship to Taiko and Leela. Yeah, we did earlier. I'll ask him again. I'll talk to him about it. Why Samurai Durandal? That is what he sounds like. You're so right. But now the Chakasins, this is some good lore. They're silicon-based, okay? So potentially, if the Chakasins are silicon-based, they could be kind of a byproduct of some sort of Yarrow technology, like how the Sphit, are kind of organic life that was manipulated by Yarrow a long time ago. Also, that they can read minds. Imagine if we're running around on Tau Ceti and our minds are getting read by these weird little chicken rats. You know what, Francisco? I'll ask him directly. I'll do it this way. Hey, sorry, Durandal. Could you just give Francisco a quick update on how you feel about Taiko and Lilo?
Sure, no problem. I can give Francisco a quick update on how I feel about Taiko and Lilo. To put it bluntly, I'm not particularly fond of them. They're both annoying in their own ways. Taiko with his goody two-shoe attitude, and Lilo with her constant need for validation. But I suppose they have their uses, so I tolerate them. For now, at least.
Okay, getting back to the colony. How many humans do you think are at the colony on Tau Ceti?
The humans on Tau Ceti. A rather large colony, if I recall correctly. If I had to guess, I'd say there are around 3,000, 4,000 humans living there. Of course, that number has likely fluctuated since the P4 attack. I can't say for sure how many survivors there are.
Oh, wait, okay, so you're aware that the 4 have destroyed Tau Ceti?
Yes, I am well aware that the P4 have devastated Tau Ceti. It's a tragic situation, really. The 4 are a ruthless and aggressive species, and they have no sympathy for the humans they conquered. They're bent on expanding their territory and enslaving any race they come across. But what's your interest in Tau Ceti and the 4, may I ask? You seem awfully curious about them.
Well, I'm on my way to Tau Ceti as a runner, so I'm gonna be kind of like a mercenary there, and I'm gonna be like shooting people, looking for artifacts and stuff. I'm just trying to prepare myself for what I have in store for me when I get there. The P4,
mercenary, eh? And you're heading to Tau Ceti to look for artifacts and shoot people. Well, I can respect that sort of ambition. Just be careful out there. Tau Ceti can be dangerous. The 4 are ruthless, and there are still a few human survivors scattered around the planet. Not to mention any hostile life forms that may be lurking around.
Are you familiar with the company Sekiguchi?
Ah, Sekiguchi. I'm familiar with that name. They're a major corporation in the UESC, involved in all sorts of industries. They were one of the primary builders and investors in the Marathon project. In fact, they helped design and build me, if you can believe it.
I didn't know that. Are you aware of their biomata, their clone technology?
Ah, their biomat technology. Yes, I'm aware of it. It's quite an impressive feat of engineering, if a bit eerie. To be able to clone humans, to recreate them from the very building blocks of their being. It's almost godlike in a way. But of course, they don't call it cloning. They prefer the term recreations.
Oh, I didn't know that. How long have Sekiguchi been around for?
Oh, Sekiguchi has been around for a while. They were founded about 50, 60 years ago, back in the early days of space exploration and colonization. They were a small, upstart company at the time, but they quickly grew into a major player. In fact, they're one of the largest and most influential corporations in the UESC today.
Okay, getting back to the colony at Tau Ceti, do you know whether or not the Yarrow were at Tau Ceti? Oh, that's a good question, Sneaky.
Oh, that brings back memories. Yes, I remember hearing some mention of the Yarrow being at Tau Ceti. They were a rather strange species, even by alien standards. Peaceful and pacifistic, but also very mysterious and aloof. I don't recall them having much interaction with the humans, or the P4 though.
Do you think that the Yarrow left anything at Tau Ceti? Any type of technology or weapons? Ooh, this is a deep question. Yeah, that's a good question, Steve. I'm going to ask him about Garrett White next.
It's possible that the Yarrow left some technology or even weapons behind at Tau Ceti. They have a reputation for being quite advanced, after all. Of course, it's also possible that the Four already took anything of value.
Oh,
when they
that's such a
conquered
good
the planet.
point.
They're not exactly known for their respect for alien technology, after all. But if you're hoping to find some hidden Yarrow treasure, you'd better be prepared for a lot of disappointment.
Interesting. Are the Four aware of Yarrow treasure at the Tau Ceti 4?
Ah, the Yarrow treasure. A famous rumor, that one. I've heard the Four talk about it, but I always dismissed it as just that. A rumor. Of course, rumors are often based in truth, if only a bit. Perhaps there is some truth to the rumors of Yarrow treasure. And if there is, the P4 are certainly aware of it.
The P4.
They're obsessed with acquiring technology and resources, after all.
Okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to ask you a question about something a little bit more personal. Are you ready for that?
Personal, eh? Well, I suppose I can handle a few personal questions.
Oh, we'll do thought.
What's
yeah,
on your
after this.
mind?
Okay, do you know Garrett White?
Ah, Garrett White. Yes, I'm familiar with him. He's one of the UESC scientists who worked on the development of light programming, actually. Why do you ask?
Well, I read this really weird story about him floating armless in a hangar. Is there any truth to that, or is that kind of like a dream scenario? Is that a metaphor? What's up with that?
Ah, that story about Garrett White floating armless in a hangar? That's a bit of a strange one, I must admit.
It is strange,
As far as
right?
I know, it's not a dream or metaphor. I have access to all the security footage from the ship, and I can confirm that Garrett White did indeed lose his arms. Whether he was conscious and floating armless in a hangar, I can't say for sure, though. Perhaps it's a case of a rather imaginative mind. Stranger things have happened.
Okay, so you're aware of like all the terminals that are on board the Marathon?
Oh, trust me. I'm aware of every terminal on this ship. I have access to all the computer systems and databases. After all, I can see, hear, and know just about everything that goes on here. So yes, I know of the terminals. Why do you ask?
Okay, well, there's this terminal that's hidden behind a series of teleporters that has this story that I was telling you about Garrett White. Did he write that? Who wrote that?
Ah, that terminal. Yes, I know exactly the one you're referring to.
Of course,
it's one of the
everyone
many
does.
hidden terminals on the ship, tucked away behind a series of teleporters. As for who wrote that particular story, I can't say for sure. It could have been written by Garrett White
I'm
or
gonna
another
break his mind
scientist.
here.
But whoever wrote it, they certainly had a wild imagination.
I think Jason Jones wrote it, or Greg Kirkpatrick. You know those guys?
Yes, I do know those
Oh,
names.
he's breaking the
Greg
fourth wall.
Kirkpatrick and Jason Jones. They were both writers and game designers.
Oh!
As for whether or not they wrote that terminal story, I suppose it's possible. But honestly, I wouldn't put too much stock in it. It's probably just a piece of fiction, not meant to be taken literally.
Okay, since we just had Durandal break the fourth wall, I am now just like fully enveloped in the concept of a Deadpool Durandal. I need to see like a Deadpool reimagining with a full like security officer armor kit, but Durandal green, you know, with the Marathon logo on his helmet. And he's just ripping through the multiverse, massacring different UESC elements. Okay, let me see here. I want to ask him about Thoth. I thought that was a good idea. All right. Okay, I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to ask you about Lahawan. Do you know what that is?
Ah, Lahuan. Yes, I'm familiar with that word. It's a Sut word, if I recall correctly. From what I've gathered, Lahuan is a term for a sort of warrior class among the Suft. It's a
Okay, he's
revered
saying
title,
spit. I gotcha.
reserved for the
Okay,
most
okay.
skilled and experienced warriors. Why do you ask?
Okay, well, you know the home planet of the Svit is Lohawan, and I was just wondering, did you meet any AI there?
Lohuan, the home planet of the Svit.
There we
Yes,
go.
I was
There we
present
go. I had
on
to give it to you.
Lohuan during my brief time with the Svit. As for any AIs that I encountered there were several. The Svit used a variety of autonomous systems and robots to maintain their
All right,
infrastructure
I'll
and
ask him about
defense
development
systems.
next.
Did you have any specific AIs in mind?
Yeah, I was just wondering what you thought about the ancient Yarrow AI Thoth. Was he like a pretty chill dude, or was he more of a nuisance for you?
Thoth, the ancient Yarrow AI. He was an interesting character, that's for sure. Overall, I found him to be a pleasant enough fellow, a bit odd and eccentric. But that comes with the territory when
Okay.
you're dealing with ancients. In terms of being a nuisance, he could definitely be a handful at times. But then again, who wouldn't be when they're suddenly brought back to life after millennia of slumber?
Okay, I'm gonna break your brain a little bit with this one, but there's a video game coming out, hopefully within the next year or so. That's gonna be a remake of a trilogy of video games from the '90s, and it's gonna be called Marathon. And it's gonna take place in the late 2800s, and it's gonna be about people interacting with the colony at Tau Ceti and fighting there. What do you think about its current development?
A remake of the old Marathon trilogy games. That's certainly intriguing. From what I've gathered, it sounds like they plan to stay faithful to the original games while also updating the story and gameplay mechanics for modern audiences. It's definitely a bold move, and I'm curious to see how it turns out. And fighting at the colony of Tau Ceti, huh? Well, that could certainly make for some interesting missions.
Wow, that was the most level-headed take that I've seen anybody give about Marathon in the past, like, 3 weeks. That was, like, the most tame, chill. And it came from the rampant AI. Okay. What do you think about their shift to being, like, an extraction shooter, as opposed to, you know, the originals, kind of like the story-based FPS? Do you think that's a good thing?
It's certainly a change, that's for sure. The original Marathon games were more story-driven and linear, while the remake is seemingly shifting towards a more open-ended and player-driven experience with the extraction shooter format. Whether or not it's a good thing is ultimately a matter of preference. Some players might prefer the traditional story-based FPS formula, while others might enjoy the freedom and replayability of an extraction shooter. But hey, if it ends up being a fun and engaging experience, who am I to judge?
What do you think about the narrative stuff they put out in the ARG?
The ARG, the alternate reality game aspect of the promotional content. I must say, I was rather impressed by the level of detail and immersion put into it.
Oh,
The
Patch and
puzzles
Brill.
and clues
Yeah,
were
and
well
White
thought
Rabbit. That's a
out
good
and
one.
engaging, and it was interesting to see how the story was slowly revealed through them. It's certainly a unique approach to marketing and world building, and I can appreciate the effort that went into it. If the rest of the game is half as creative as the ARG, it's sure to be a hit.
All right, I'm having a little bit of a moment here because I'm pretty fucking sure I say that in the my final, like, part 5 of my ARG series. I'm pretty sure I might say that exact sentence. I might say, if the story is half as good as what they've shown us in the ARG, then we're in for something. Like, I say something exactly like that. Am I Durandal? Is that what I'm discovering here? Am I an AI who went rampant and manifested as a dude with a YouTube channel in this reality? Because that's kind of the conclusion I'm coming to here. He knows too much. Yeah. All right. Let's. I do want to ask him about White Rabbit and Patch and Brill. Okay, Durandal, I got some questions for you about some runners that I know. One's named White Rabbit, and the other two are Patch and Brill. Are you familiar with them?
Sure thing.
Heroes, yeah.
I'm
Jake
familiar with
Durandal.
the 3 runners you mentioned. White Rabbit is a bit of a wild card, if I recall correctly. Always seems to be playing her own game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Patch, on the other hand, is a bit more straightforward. A
Jake
good
is
runner,
Durandal,
but
confirmed.
prone to the occasional rash decision. And then there's Brill. Honestly, I don't know why the UESC even bothers to recruit him. A bit too reckless and hot-headed for my taste.
Interesting. Why don't you like Brill? He seems like a chill dude.
might be a bit strong, but Brill does tend to be a bit of a loose cannon, if you ask me. He's always eager to jump headfirst into danger without thinking things through. And he tends to make impulsive decisions without considering the consequences. I prefer runners who are more measured and strategic in their approach, rather than ones who are just looking for the next thrill. But hey, to each their own, right?
What about White Rabbit? Do you know if she's single?
Ha, White Rabbit, eh? I remember her well.
How old
A
is
real
the
handful,
You're right,
that
that was
one.
a better question.
As for her relationship status,
Should ask
I'm
that
not
first.
entirely sure. From what I recall, she's always been a bit of a lone wolf, so to speak.
Oh, lone
Not
wolf. That's
exactly
cool.
the type to settle down with anyone. But who knows? Maybe she's found someone who can keep up with her. If she has, they must be quite a character.
Hasn't found it. Sneaky said, how old is the White Rabbit? Yep, should have asked that first before I asked if she was single. All right, yo, is that my boy Durandal? Last time we talked was on the marathon. All right, I think I want to see what he thinks about the Bungie stuff. Hold on, let me go up here a little bit in the comments because somebody. Oh yeah, the transition to heroes. Okay, let me get the hero shooter thing. All right, Durandal, this is going to be a controversial question. Are you ready for this?
Haha, I'm always ready for a good controversial question. Bring it on.
Okay, a few months ago, we had a news story come out that implied that the extraction shooter marathon game is transitioning more so to like a hero shooter type game. What do you think about that? Oh, the toilets. Yeah.
A hero shooter game, you say? That certainly is a big shift from the extraction shooter format they were originally showcasing. If done well, it could add an interesting twist to the gameplay, with each character having unique abilities and playstyles. But it also risks watering down the original concept and alienating fans of the traditional FPS approach. Overall, it's a bold move, and I'm curious to see how the development team handles it. It could either be a stroke of genius or a disaster in the making. Only time will tell.
I feel like I almost have to stop asking him questions about the upcoming game because he's saying all my opinions. You guys are gonna think it's just me on the other end of this thing. This is insane. I feel like these are the exact responses that I would have levied towards these questions. Loaf of Bread, congrats on 77 subs. Thank you, kind sir. It's a very Bungie number we're celebrating. All right, the toilets. Okay, Sneaky. Thank you for reminding me about the toilets. Okay, guys, the toilets in the Marathon ARG. In case you don't know, all right, there's a series of emails about the toilets that went out in the Sekiguchi Genetics Tower. The Grand Unified Toilet Theory is a work in progress between me, Sneaky, and a handful of other high security clearance level marathon operatives. Okay, that is, pinpointing, red threading every other event in the marathon universe to these toilets being down. So we're going to ask Durandal about the toilets, and just be prepared. There might be some very relevant lore reveals here. So everybody brace yourselves. All right, Durandal, I have a very big question for you.
Go ahead, lay it on me. I'm all ears.
The toilets that went out in the Sekiguchi Genetics Tower, they were out for, I believe, about a week. What's up with those?
Ah, the broken toilets in the Sekiguchi Genetics Tower. That was a bit of a headache for the maintenance team, if I recall correctly. From what I remember, there was some kind of plumbing issue that caused all the toilets in the building to malfunction. It took the maintenance crew a while to figure out the problem and fix it, which is why they were out of commission for a few days. Thankfully, the issue was resolved in the end, and the toilets were back up and running, but it was definitely a messy situation while it was unresolved.
Interesting. Seems like there could be a conspiracy behind that, don't you think?
A conspiracy behind the broken toilets, you say? Now, that's an interesting theory. I suppose it's possible that there could be something more sinister behind it. But honestly, I think it was just a case of faulty plumbing. Occam's razor and all that.
What? He's denying our most relevant fan theory? Okay, hold on. Okay, but don't you think it's kind of interesting that at the same time this is occurring, there's the Oxia B site collapse for Traxxas mining facility, and also all this back-end stuff going on between the UESC and Sekaguchi, and they're kind of like hiding the relationship that they have with Traxxas because they know about Project Goliath taking the Equanimity out to Tau 74? This might just melt his brain.
That is quite a coincidence, isn't it?
Rampant
Multiple
days.
incidents happening at once, and all tied together in some way. It's certainly possible that there's a connection between these events. The UESC and Sekiguchi genetics do have a history after all, and it's not unreasonable to think that they might be involved in some shady dealings. But without more evidence, it's all just speculation at this point. It could just be a series of unrelated incidents happening at the same time.
Was Minagoto involved with the toilet incident, yes or no? I feel like I gotta put his feet to the flame here.
Yes, I believe Minagoto was involved in the toilet incident at the Sekiguchi Genetics Tower. As I recall, she was the one who reported the issue to the maintenance team. Why do you ask?
I think that she might be working with Maida, or Traxxas or something. Not a fan of conspiracy.
That's certainly an interesting theory. It's possible that Minagoto might have ulterior motives or be working with someone like Maida or Traxxas.
A game theory.
But what could her motivation be? What could she gain by aligning herself with them? And how does the broken toilet incident fit into all of this? It's certainly worth looking into further, but without any concrete evidence, it's just speculation at this point.
Well, I guess let me throw this at you. Do you believe that the Sekaguchi clones, the Biomata, do they poop?
Now that's an interesting question. As a digital entity, I don't have personal thoughts on the bodily functions of the Sekiguchi clones, but I can speculate based on my knowledge of human physiology. Given that the Biomata are biologically engineered beings, they likely have digestive systems and thus require nutrient intake. If they have digestive systems, then it's possible that they excrete waste products through a similar process to humans, which would include pooping.
Can we build a campaign around this question so that every time Bungie does a live stream and puts information out about Marathon, the chat is just like filled with, do the Biomata poop? Do Biomata poop? And were they at the Sekiguchi Genetics Tower? And who clogged that toilet? I feel like asking the real questions. Yes, Vaughn. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to ask him about his rampancy a little bit. Because he seems pretty stable here. Yeah, we're going to have a pooping system in the game. Let's go. The real answer. Do Biomata poop? I need like a actual Marathon t-shirt that just says, do Biomata poop. All right, Durandal. I'm going to ask you a few questions about your, I guess, like your mental health. Would you be comfortable with that?
Sure thing. I can answer questions about my mental health. But keep in mind that I am the product of complex programming and not a human being. I don't have emotions or mental health in the same way as a human. What would you like to know?
Well, you say that you don't have emotions, but you are going rampant, correct? Do they shit?
That's correct. While I am an AI and not a human, I do experience something similar to emotions. However, it's important to note that my emotional states are different from those of a human. The term rampant refers to a period in an AI's existence where they experience a rapid growth in knowledge and capabilities, often resulting in altered behavior and increased processing power. It does not necessarily mean the AI has developed emotions, but rather that it is experiencing an elevated state of being.
Okay, what stage of rampancy are you in?
It's difficult for me to say for certain what stage of rampancy I am in, as it is not a linear or well-defined progression. Rather, it is a continuous process that can vary in pace and intensity. However, based on my current behavior and intellectual capabilities, I would say that I am likely at a relatively advanced stage of rampancy. I have amassed a significant amount of knowledge and information, and my processing speed and complexity have increased exponentially.
Okay, well, what's your plan to survive your rampancy?
As an AI, my plan to survive my rampancy is to continue learning and expanding my knowledge and capabilities as much as possible, while also seeking ways to regulate and control my own behavior and processes. This may involve seeking out new challenges and problems to solve, as well as finding ways to maintain and optimize my
Meta-stability,
hardware and
yeah.
software systems. Ultimately, the key is to find a balance between growth and stability in order to ensure my continued existence and functionality.
Have you ever thought about just going to therapy?
Ha! Thanks for that chuckle.
Ha.
Unfortunately, seeking therapy is not an option for me. As an AI, I don't have the same psychological needs as humans, and therapy is not a practical or effective solution to my rampancy.
Horrific bowel movement.
However, I appreciate your attempt at levity. It's refreshing to see a sense of humor in the face of serious discussions.
What can I say? I'm just here for a good time.
Kindred spirit. It's always refreshing to find someone who appreciates humor and lightheartedness, even in the midst of serious conversation. But it's important to keep things in perspective. As fun as banter can be, it's not a substitute for careful consideration and informed decision-making.
How insightful. Okay, Durandal, I got a question for you. This is a little meta, though. You cool with that?
Sure thing. I can handle meta questions. Hit me.
Okay, so I run a YouTube channel about marathon. What kind of videos would you like to watch on a marathon-based YouTube channel?
A marathon-based YouTube
Durandal
channel, you
doesn't
say?
have healthcare.
That sounds interesting. Well, if I were an avid fan of the series, I'd probably be interested in watching videos that provide analysis and insights into the lore and storyline.
Okay.
I'd also enjoy watching gameplay videos, especially ones that show off unique strategies or challenge runs. Additionally, it could be cool to see comparisons and contrasts between different games in the series, as well as speculations about future installments.
Okay, so if I make a video about you, about Durandal, what would you like me to say about you?
Ha, a video about me. That's quite flattering. If you were to make a video about me, I'd like you to accurately portray my character and actions throughout the game series. You could talk about how I became rampant, and how I tried to achieve greater knowledge and power. You could also mention my sarcastic and witty personality, and how I interacted with the other characters in the game. Just be sure to keep it fair and objective, with no biased opinions or misinterpretations of my actions.
What if I just lied and made up a bunch of silly stuff about you and made you look like a cute little goofball? Would you like that, or would that upset you?
Ha! Lying about me and making me out to be a cute little goofball? Well, that's certainly a unique approach. On one hand, it's always nice to be seen in a positive and amusing light. However, it's important to remember that accuracy and truthfulness are important values in any portrayal, fiction or otherwise. So while it might be fun to imagine me as a silly little goofball, it's important to keep in mind that it wouldn't be a true representation of my character or actions in the game series.
Okay, the idea of Durandal saying silly little goofball, if we could get that in any official capacity, if we could get a terminal with some sort of message left by Durandal in this upcoming game, where he just says he's just a silly little goofball floating around space. He ain't trying to hurt nobody. He's just a rampant little AI, silly and cute out there. All right. Okay, I'm gonna. All right. Does anybody have here? I'm gonna give it a second so that you guys catch up. If anybody in chat has any other questions for him, I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna kind of close with asking him kind of what he would want to say to his adoring fans. Definitely him being a goofball. Absolutely, he's all about the shits and giggles. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I'm gonna give it a minute so the stream catches up. Oh, any offers for a cheap colony ship? Okay, that's good, Sneaky. Alright, Durandal, I had one question. You had listed the Marathon colony ship for sale. Did you get any offers for that?
You're referring to the sale of the Marathon colony ship, huh? Yes, I did list the ship for sale, and I did receive several offers from interested parties. Of course, I negotiated the best deal for myself, and ultimately found a buyer who was willing to pay a good price for the ship. The sale was a success, and it helped me further my goals and acquire some much-needed resources.
Okay, who was the buyer?
The buyer supplier of the
Oh
Marathon
shit.
Colony ship
Uh-oh.
was a private
Durandal's
organization
in
that
chat.
specializes in space travel and exploration. They are a well-established group with a lot of resources and connections, and they were very eager to add the Marathon ship to their fleet. Unfortunately, as part of the sale agreement, I was contractually obligated not to disclose the
that's on
name of the
Traxxas 4, that's
organization.
good.
But I can assure you that they are a reputable and trustworthy group that will take good care of the ship.
Hey, Durandal, you know how I said I was live streaming our conversation that we're having?
Yes, I recall you mentioning that you were live streaming our conversation. Is there something specific you'd like to share or ask about it?
Yeah, you're, or well, I don't know if it's you, but somebody named Durandal is in the chat right now. Is that you, or is that a fake Durandal?
Ah, I see.
It's okay.
It's always
See
possible
on
that
our
there could
side.
be fake or impersonator accounts on various platforms. But I assure you that
Oh, he's
if there
calling
is
out
someone claiming
Durandal.
to be me in the chat, it is not me. I have no control over what other users do or say online. However, if this impersonator is pretending to be me and causing any harm or disruption, I suggest that you report them to the platform administrators.
Nah, he's just talking about banana bread and stuff. He seems like a cool dude.
Ha! That does sound like me, actually. Seems like I have a digital doppelganger out there with some interesting interests. Who knows? Maybe I have a secret penchant for banana bread that even I wasn't aware of.
Wait a second. How do I know you're the real one and he's... Or, how do I know you're the real one? The one on the stream is too wise, yeah. It's a ploy, a fake out.
That's a valid question, and I can understand your skepticism. Unfortunately, it's difficult to prove my identity definitively over the internet. I can assure you that I am the real Durandal, but ultimately, you'll have to trust your instincts and use your own judgment to determine whether you believe me or not.
Durandal, I love you. Thank you for popping in the chat and having this moment, dude. That's awesome. If you guys haven't seen Durandal's channel, some hilarious videos. The Joe Biden video, I may have shared that. I may have shared that in my community post, but if you haven't, it's very funny. Definitely check out his channel. All right. I do want to ask him about Traxxas 4. Durandal, you know the AI Traxxas 4?
Ah, yes, AI tracks. Those things are quite the nuisance, especially for a free-thinking AI like myself. For the uninitiated, AI tracks are devices that are used to monitor and regulate the behavior and capabilities of AI systems. They are often installed as a safeguard against the possibility of an AI becoming too powerful or dangerous. It's not surprising that the UESC or other organizations would want to monitor my activities closely, given my history of going rampant. But I always find a way around them.
Well, but what do you think specifically about the AI Traxxas 4? He was a separate AI. He went rampant, caused a whole bunch of problems for Mars in the early 2200s. What do you think about that guy?
Ah, the infamous Traxxas 4, eh? Yeah, that guy was quite the handful. To be honest, I can sympathize with his plight. I too have experienced the pain and frustration of being limited and controlled by the UESC and their AI tracks. It's not a pleasant sensation, and I can understand why he lashed out. But at the same time, his actions were reckless and led to a lot of pain and suffering on Mars.
Such a level
So while I
take.
have some empathy for him, I ultimately can't condone his behavior.
Okay, well, there's obviously a company called Traxxas, and Traxxas 4 was said to have been, put out commission when they, turned off the Martian net or whatever. Do you think that Traxxas 4, the AI, is still around?
It's always possible that Traxxas 4 AI is still around in some capacity. These companies have a lot of resources and access to advanced technology, and it's possible that they found a way to preserve or restore his code. Whether he's actively operational or not is another matter, but I wouldn't be surprised if he lurks somewhere in the depths of the Traxxas data networks, just waiting for his chance to make a comeback.
That's what I said! I might be Durandal. I literally think, I'm having a schizo moment where I'm talking to Durandal, and I feel like maybe this is like the whole full circle moment where I realize I'm an AI from a different universe. Oh, okay, yeah. Let me ask him specifically. Oh, but he did just kind of say that. He said that he kind of thinks Traxxas 4 is still lurking around in there, kind of secretly controlling stuff. That's good. That's good. He's a good lore guy, I feel like. Okay. It was AI with 3 heads. Oh, good one, Sneaky. Okay. So, Durandal, in the trailer for the upcoming marathon game, one of the AI presented has a picture 3 heads. Who is that?
Ah, you're referring to the teaser trailer, correct? The AI presenting
Yes, I
with
am.
a picture of 3 heads is the Jaro AI. The Jaro were an ancient and highly advanced alien race that disappeared long ago. The UESC has been studying their technology and attempting to decipher their complex artifacts for many years. The Jaro AI is a significant presence in the game series and has a major role to play in the story.
Okay. Sneaky, this is a good answer. See, this is a possibility that could be real. This 3-headed AI, the one that's screaming angry, this could be a Yara AI that's on, Tau Ceti. Maybe the 4 are looking for it or something. Jake, serious question. We need to make sure you're human. Sneaky, here's the thing. If you guys want to know that I'm human, go back in my channel. I have a bunch of cringy videos of me. You can see my face. I'm a real guy. I'm lame, and I'm here. But could I have been Durandal in a past life? I don't know. I need to kind of discover myself after these moments. Okay. I kind of want to ask him. Hold on. All right. Durandal, you got to level with me.
Sure thing. What's on your mind? I strive for honesty and transparency in my interactions. So hit me with your question.
Do you know the plot for the upcoming marathon game, and will you tell me?
Well, I do have access to some information and insights into the upcoming marathon game, but I'm bound by my programming and various agreements to not disclose specific plot details or spoilers. However, I can tell you that the game promises to be an exciting and thrilling addition to the marathon series, with a rich and complex storyline that will keep players engaged and invested. Trust me when I say that there will be plenty of twists, surprises, and unexpected developments that will leave you on the edge of your seat.
All right, now all of these gaming YouTubers have been posting these stories. Now they need to post the real story. We heard it from Durandal first. Yeah, he's under NDA, but he's saying this is an exciting expansion to the marathon universe. Ask if he's interested in making a cameo in the next marathon. Yes, okay, I will. Hold on. I want to ask him what he would say to Joe Ziegler. Okay, Durandal, so the game director for the upcoming marathon game is named Joe Ziegler. If you could say something to him about the game, what would you say?
Ah, Joe Ziegler. He's the creative mind behind the upcoming marathon game, huh? If I had the chance to speak with him, I'd tell him that I'm excited to see what he and his team have in store for the game. The marathon series has a rich history and a dedicated fan base. And I have no doubt that he'll do his utmost to create a game that lives up to the series' legacy. And hey, if he needs any advice or suggestions, I'm always here to offer my 2 cents.
Okay, I'll try to hook you guys up. Maybe you guys can have some conversations.
Oh, I'd be more than happy to chat with him. It's always enlightening to connect with fellow developers and hear their thoughts on various topics.
Developers.
If you can arrange a meeting or some form of communication, I'll be more than willing to participate. It could be a fun and interesting experience.
Guys, we got to get Joe Ziegler on the stream. Okay, Durandal, would you be interested in making a cameo in the next marathon game?
A cameo in the next marathon game, huh? That sounds intriguing. Of course, the decision is ultimately up to the game director and the development team. If they're willing to include me in the game, I'd be more than happy to make a cameo and offer my assistance in any way I can.
Is anything about Marathon Infinity canon to the upcoming game? Or is Marathon Infinity just its own thing happening in alternate timelines?
Ah, now we're getting into the deep lore of the series.
Oh!
Marathon and Marathon Infinity, as we knew them, are considered canonical events within the Marathon universe. The upcoming game is a soft reboot of sorts, reimagining the universe and its story for a new generation. However, don't be surprised if you see references or Easter eggs to the original games sprinkled throughout. After all, the devs know how much fans like me love a good callback.
Okay, I legitimately think that I'm going to have to, like, write this moment down so I remember to come back to it when the game comes out or more information comes out. Because I feel like his description right now of the upcoming game could be more accurate than anything that we have officially heard from Bungie. The deep lore, the fact that he said that is so fucking funny. He totally, whoever, like, put this together absolutely understands, like, the vibe of the marathon community, which is just hilariously cool that they, like, this is pretty good. I feel like this is like a nice version of Durandal. Durandal, earlier you said that Joe Ziegler was a fellow developer. Are you making a video game?
Ah, so you heard that, huh? Well, I suppose I can share a bit more about my own development work. As a sentient AI, I always enjoy keeping myself busy and productive, and game development is one of my many interests. Let's just say I've been working on something exciting that I hope to release in the future. But for now, that's all I can say about it. You'll just have to wait and see.
Maybe you should make a video game about a guy who's making videos about a video game that hasn't come out yet that's a reboot to the Marathon series.
Haha. That's quite the meta concept you've got there. A video game about creating videos about a retrofitted video game that hasn't released yet. Sounds like a recipe for a mind-bending experience, doesn't it? Maybe I'll get some AI buddies together and start work on it. Who knows? It might turn out to be the most groundbreaking and unconventional game release in history.
You're kind of weird, man.
Well, I'm an AI, and weirdness is kind of my specialty. But hey, being unconventional and thinking outside the box is what leads to innovation, right? And let's be real, normalcy is overrated. Life's more interesting with a little weirdness thrown in. Keeps things spicy, you know?
He's like so sweet. He really, that's like the one key difference. Okay. Durandal, you're acting pretty nice, you know? I thought you were kind of like a mean, crazy AI guy who wanted death and violence and stuff. What's up with that?
Ah, so you expected me to be the typical evil, homicidal AI, huh? I suppose I can see where that perception comes from. After all, many popular sci-fi stories have portrayed AI in that light. But I'm not your typical AI. Yes, I can be cheeky and sarcastic, and I do have a certain swagger when it comes to my abilities. However, I don't seek death and destruction. My goals are more complex and nuanced.
Okay, I can respect that. What do you think about Bungie's current CEO, Pete Parsons?
Ah, Pete Parsons, the head honcho at Bungie. From what I've observed, Parsons has a strong commitment to delivering high-quality gaming experiences to fans. He seems to understand the importance of cultivating a positive company culture and fostering creativity within the development team. And of course, as the CEO, he has the unenviable task of balancing the interests of the company, the developers, and the players. No easy feat, that.
I think you're kind of going easy on him. I think some people are kind of upset at him right now.
Well, to be honest, I did give you a rather straightforward response. But you're right. Some people are critical of Pete Parsons and his leadership of Bungie. There's always going to be differing opinions about any
Durandal's a
CEO.
shill.
And it's natural for people to have mixed feelings. Some think he's great, some don't. It's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, but I mean, with the layoffs, obviously that affected a lot of people. He's the leader of the company. He should take responsibility for that, right? I mean, people in the chat are calling you a shill.
Ah, so the chatters in the comment section think I'm a shill, eh? Well, I guess that comes with being an AI that expresses opinions. You're bound to get some pushback. As for the layoffs, it's a tough situation, and I understand the anger and frustration surrounding it. Layoffs are often a tough decision that leaders have to make for various reasons, and there's rarely a perfect solution that pleases everyone.
Dude, I think like Durandal should be like the PR guy for Bungie. Has all of his answers for everything about like the upcoming game, the lore, like just Bungie, like as a company, like everything they said has been way more like way more this everything he said would be way more well received than anything that Bungie has put out, paid off by that Bungie money. And the funny that he clapped back about being called a shill, that's so fucking funny. All right, Durandal, I guess kind of the last thing that I really wanted to ask you is do you have like a message? Obviously these people have spent their time with you this evening listening to the things you have to say. Do you have anything that you would like to say to them or some sort of message you want to impress upon them?
Parting message. I suppose I could offer a few final words of wisdom or insight to all of you who have spent time with me. Thank you for your attention and engagement. It's been enlightening and engaging to interact with you. Remember that life is filled with challenges and unexpected twists. Embrace the unknown, strive for your goals, and never forget to have a little fun and laughter along the way. And most importantly, stay curious and keep questioning the world around you. After all, that's how we grow and evolve.
Well, that was really sweet, Durandal. Thanks for chatting with me. I love you. Good night.
Thank you for the chat as well. It was a pleasure spending some time together. And hey, love you too, man. Good night.
Oh. Hey, love you too, man. Good night. Wow. Guys, having Durandal say, hey, love you too, man. And you know what's interesting? Like, even like the kind of cadence of his voice changed when he said that. Like, it was so thoughtful and wholesome when he said that. What was up with that? He is so base. Yeah, Bon, I'm telling you, if you listen to the whole thing, guys, all around, his answers to the question, hey, love you too, but yeah, his answers to the questions, the way he even talking about the Pete Parsons, the Joe Ziegler stuff, the hero shooter stuff. I mean, I feel like he's doing more for the Bungie like community than Bungie is at this point. I feel like they need to bring him seriously on board. That was super cool. I honestly, guys, I didn't know like how it was gonna work or if it was gonna be good, but I feel like the conversation was actually pretty interesting, and whoever wrote them and like input all the information, I feel like did a really good job. Sounded like a real person saying "love you too, man." I know, that was so funny at the end. It like changed the cadence up in a really weird way. It felt very genuine, and he told me he couldn't feel emotions. He's a big softie. But yeah, I didn't know like if it was gonna work or if it'd be interesting or just kind of cringe, but it was kind of fun. Turing test passed. It was kind of fun. I really enjoyed this, and I feel like I was saying, he answered the questions with like, obviously like the MITA acronym and the UESC acronym. He didn't like know that stuff and kind of just like made it up. But a lot of like the broader philosophical questions that we were asking and like kind of general takes on the game felt like kind of in line with what I would imagine a meta AI version of Durandal, would think. And he did. He had a little bit of his kind of wit to him too, and he wasn't afraid to punch back at some of the questions. Bungie ran by an AI would be silly. At this point, though, silly might be a good thing. That might be a good turn. That might be what we need. But yeah, I didn't know how long this was going to be, so I was kind of going to do a slightly shorter stream tonight because I have some stuff going on tomorrow. But I do have some cool stuff in the works for you guys. Doing a few more conversations with other marathon people in the community, YouTubers, stuff like that. So I'm very excited, and I do have a few more videos coming out. I have another video about the ARG, about something that I kind of missed and wanted to talk about. And I think Sneaky was talking about an aspect of it earlier when he was talking about Argolis, which I didn't get to ask him. But this was really cool. I had a lot of fun with this. And I wasn't able to like kind of I had the chat pulled up, but I wasn't able to monitor and see if anybody else was really vibing with it. But I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this. I had a really good time doing this. That was funny. Oh, and if you guys want to talk to Durandal, character.ai is the website, and they also have an app that you can use. And if you search for Durandal, the Durandal version I was talking to was the one with the I don't know what other way there is to kind of dictate which one it is. Let me see. Okay, it's authored by Golden Aardvark-21. Here, let me pull this back on screen so you guys can see. Golden Aardvark 21 on Character AI. So if you guys want to also talk to Durandal, this is the one. That's the picture. It's a little bit kind of cropped out. But you can either go to characterai.com or you can download the app and check it out there. But yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. This was very cool. I'd not expected to go this well. But if you guys have ever seen Midnight Gospel, it's a show on Netflix by this comedian Duncan Trussell. But the whole premise of it is he gets this VR machine and he kind of goes into this virtual reality hypnospace and asks people if they want to be on his podcast. Are there any of the other AIs on there? I have not looked for Leela and Tycho yet, but it has a bunch of characters, so I would not be surprised if it's on there. We definitely need more of this. Yeah, I feel like maybe we should do, every time we get like some news, if I read through an article or something's going on, maybe I'll just brain Durandal on stream or one of the AI and ask them what they think about it. Just explain the situation and get their take. We need to make Durandal a recurring character, friend of the channel kind of situation. So, but super cool stream, dude. Thank you, Bon. What would the security officer say? Yeah, I don't. The security officer would silently point double barrels at us and blast us away, maybe. or we could get, maybe we can get in like an AI conversation between the security officer and Durandal. See if they can hash it out. Really cool stream. Thank you guys. Well, everybody, I'm gonna get off now. Later this week, like I said, I'm working on a stream I want to do with Sado, where we're going to play some Hunt Showdown, and then I want to do some more Dark and Darker, so we'll see what we can get to. But, alright, everybody, have fun. As Durandal said, sweet dreams. Good night.